What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Make sure to drop a like on the video. So we have to talk about this messy divorce between Chris Paul and the LA Clippers. Now, for those who don't know, the Los Angeles Clippers front office essentially sent Chris Paul home in the middle of the night, and it sparked a lot of conversations within the NBA world and NBA Twitter. And a lot of people, including me, was surprised because this was supposed to be Chris Paul's retirement tour, right? And a bunch of stories came out as to why the Clippers let go of Chris Paul. And now we reportedly have some answers. Now, according to ESPN, Chris Paul's return to the Los Angeles Clippers took on a different meaning once training camp began. And what was initially presented as a controlled situational role quickly shifted as Chris Paul became a driving force on the floor. Now, during training camp, Chris Paul reportedly emerged as the leader of the second unit, which featured him, John Collins, Chris Dunn, Brook Lopez, and Nico Batum. And they repeatedly outplayed the starters, which featured James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, Derrick Jones Jr., and Ivica Zubac. And this is in practice and preseason action. Now, the imbalance was reportedly hard to ignore and began to reshape how Chris Paul was viewed internally, especially as his minutes and responsibilities quietly expanded beyond what had been discussed during the summer. And that success has reportedly brought complications. Now, as the second unit continued to win its matchups against the starters, Chris Paul's voice carried more weight, and his influence over how the group operated began to grow even more. So what started as a depth role evolved into something closer to authority, changing expectations inside the building. Now, the steady success of the second unit started to blur the pecking order the Clippers originally had in mind. Instead of roles becoming clearer, the gap between the two groups created friction. Suddenly, the team had to face how much influence Paul's play had earned, and whether things had shifted faster than they were ready for. So even in the final year of his contract, Chris Paul demanded excellence. He didn't sugarcoat mistakes, and when things went wrong, he spoke up. Teammates, coaches, even the front office. No one was above criticism. But once his voice started to matter too much, it became an issue. And that's when he found himself on the outside. Now, a lot of that tension reportedly stemmed from his relationship with head coach Tyronn Lue. In the weeks leading up to Paul's exit, the two weren't on speaking terms, with Chris Paul trying multiple times to sit down and talk things out, but Lue declined and the disconnect only grew. But through all of this, Chris Paul still managed to stay close with Kawhi Leonard, and they remain friends to this day. Now, Kawhi was just as surprised as anyone when the move happened, and everything suggests that the decision came from well above his pay grade.
I know you talked about it a little bit in Atlanta, but we haven't had a chance to see you since you guys parted ways with Chris. I just wanted to ask about your perspective on kind of how that all ended and just what your relationship was like with him this season.
Surprised at it. He's always been a willing teammate. When I spoke to him, like I said, the only thing I can talk about is our conversations. And they've always been positive and a team forward. And yeah, like I said, I didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't even know what was going on.
So in the end, it seems Chris Paul and the Clippers simply had different views on what his role should be. That disconnect planted the seeds for his exit not long after. Now, it's a rough way for things to end, but Paul's story doesn't feel finished yet. With several teams now showing interest, Chris Paul may still get the ending he was hoping for, just not the one he imagined. And even at 40 years old, he can still be a positive presence in the right situation. Meanwhile, the Clippers are trash. They've dropped 4 straight games and continue to slide down the Western Conference standings, sitting at 14th with a 6-20 record. The season is slipping away fast. I mean, honestly, the season's over in my opinion. But it's becoming clear that Chris Paul was far from their biggest problem. If anything, his leadership may have helped them weather this stretch. But when you step back, the tension surrounding Chris Paul says just as much about the Clippers as it does about him. This is a team searching for direction, yet uncomfortable with a veteran who demanded accountability and clarity. And as the season continues to unravel, that discomfort feels hard to ignore. Chris Paul may be gone, but the questions he raised about leadership, roles, and identity are still very much unanswered. But that's all I have for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this. Share your thoughts in the comment section. And I'll see you in the next upload. Peace.